Hello, this is Vlek from bloodclan.org, and I'm going to show you how to install and set up UOSteam. So go to UOSteam's website, uosteam.com, click the download button. So there are three things on here that you're going to need. You're going to need the client in order to play, as well as the Microsoft Visual C++ package. Get this one. I believe this is the 32-bit version. The 64-bit version does not work for this, and the actual UOSteam install. So go ahead and click this after you've done the rest. After it's finished downloading, go ahead and install. When there's a new update, it's going to give you the installer again. So you're going to have to download UOSteam over again so you can install right on top of your old client. It's not going to change your profiles or delete anything. It also opens up the patch notes to let you know what's in this version. So okay, we're not going to need that anymore. Alright, go ahead and open up UOSteam. If you have a client folder that isn't in your that wasn't properly downloaded, like if you have it on a flash drive or something like that, you're going to have to manually put in where your client exe is, as well as your UO file or folder. Sorry, but I actually did it proper on this laptop, so we shouldn't have a problem there. I'm gonna just go on UO hybrid just to kind of show you guys what's up. Okay, so before we log in, I would suggest going to the Options tab and changing your game window size. I have it set a little high. You're just going to want to change it to something bigger than the 800 by 600. This is a little bit big, and I'll show you why in a second. So let me log in here really quick. Alright, so it looks like we're in Burz's hut right now. Alright. So on there are a lot of features on here that are just pretty much the same as you would find on Razer, such as the filters. But you'll notice that there are a couple new ones, such as Death and or Fame and Karma. There's also this light slider that's very different. As you can see, it changes the light that's inside the game window. Make sure you have the CPU usage reduced as well. This, I believe, reduces it to about 30% less than what it usually does without hurting gameplay at all. Profiles. This is a huge thing in UOSteam. A lot of things are profile centric. As far as your auto loot as well as your scavenger, but also your macros are tied to your profiles. And so if, for instance, I have a warrior build on this profile, if I wanted to do another warrior build, I would go new and then I would dupe the one that I have for this one in order to keep all of my macros as well as my scavenger and whatnot. So be very careful with that. Options, there are a lot of things that are very similar, or if not the same as what you'd find in Razer, except for a few things. Always accept party invitations is something that's not in Razer. This is very helpful if you don't care to do the slash accept. The objects queue and everything, count stealth steps, I mean, those are the same. The couple things that are new here is whether or not you want to open doors if you're hiding or if you're targeting something. I would suggest doing both so that you don't auto open a door while you're stealthing. Also, you can have it open corpses automatically while you're not hiding as well. That's very helpful if you don't want to be unhidden when something dies near you or dies near you. Hotkeys. Oh wait, I go to combat. Here we go. Most of this is, like I said, the same, except for humanoids, poison, and paralyzed aura. What that's going to do is that's going to create the effect around you as though you had a swarm of bees on you. Except for if it's poison, the bees are green, and if you're paralyzed, the bees are purple. A lot of stuff is the same, whether or not you want the spells to show. I have it name and I have it the color of the spell. Friends, you have a list of friends by their serial numbers. Insert as many people as you can in here that are orcs, obviously. Also, do this include party members business, because what that does is that's going to allow you in hotkeys and macros to just say, oh, if they're a friend, then you don't want to hit them or you don't want to attack them. You can also just hit this and do a print prevent attacking friends in war mode, but you don't want your macros or whatever to stop and try to attack a friend without attacking somebody that you actually do want to attack. I have it turned off because I have a pretty good macro that deals with that, and sometimes we'll be doing like a clomp or something, and I want to actually kill one of you. But the healing side of this, there is an auto healer built in. I don't know if that's going to be in Ancorp. It's usually turned off on most shards, but you can enable it. Start below a certain percentage points of hits. Like you want to save bandages. So if they're a quarter knocked off, you don't want to heal them. It's only after they drop below that. But you can have it set to any friend, and it's going to heal anybody in here as well as party members. So it's really important that you click this. Title bar is the same. The only thing that's different here, or that's a little bit screwy, is when you're adding stuff to here. If you want to add something else, like you see, I have stools in here and stuff that obviously didn't come pre-built in here. What you have to do is you have to go to Agent Counters, and then you have to add it here. So you just hit insert and you click something, and it'll add in here, and then you go to your options, and it would show up down here, and you just insert it to insert it into your title bar. Spell grids, I believe, are not in Razor. What this does is it creates a grid that has both spells and abilities on it. You can use these bars in order to place it wherever you want. Just keep in mind that when you're adding things to it, that you cannot, or you can move these around, but you can't move them beyond the top left corner. So you can move them as far down and to the right as you want. Just something to keep in mind when you're making these and setting them around your game window or whatnot. Hotkeys, a lot of these are the same. Targeting spells, skills, some agents even, because the agents are pretty much the same. Counters aren't, but dress, organize, scavenger, and auto loot are the same. I think vendors are different though. Um, but those are the same. Macros work just the same as they do in Razor, as far as like selecting these for a hotkey. But when you're doing that, usually you go in macros and you would set the hotkey down here and then just save it. So I usually don't touch this. The main ones that are different though are these three. You can ping the server and see how well your ping is and whether or not it's crazy high. Apparently I got a high one there, but it's not too bad as far as UO is concerned. Resync. This is good if you have a bunch of things on the ground that are slowing you down and you want to resync, or if you're a tile off. Some servers you'll actually back in OSI days you can get a tile off and then you have to resync or log off, log back on, and if you didn't have a resync in order to see where you really were. Snapshot is the same. These are all pretty much the same things that you're going to want to go through and just kind of figure out on your own. Play with them, see what works for you and what you like to have set up. But what I would consider setting up is attack last. This would be good to have as a middle mouse button, and then have targeting, get, enemy, next, and non-friendly. Since we're going to be setting everyone under the sun that we consider a friend as a friend, then you're going to want to attack anyway that's not on that list or in your party list. And so this is a good one to use. If you have this set as scroll up, then you can attack everyone that's around you. You can select them and then it will highlight them if you have it set up in your, I believe it's combat, yes. So highlight your current target and then it will like select this and then you can middle mouse button click in order to determine whether or not you actually want to attack that person. And so that's a low-tech way to scroll through different targets. The attack closest and nearest aren't going to work for this. However, I believe that they are available in hybrid if you want to use those. They will attack the closest non-friendly target if you have it set up to do that. I will go into macros in another video. Just know that this is the macro window pane. Here is a list of all of your macros. This is how you add a new one. You give it a new name. So new macro, then it sends you to here. You can't right click and get anything. You can record, however the record function is kind of stupid in that it always tries to record specific serial numbers if you use the object inspector. on here, it's going to always try to use the serial or that very specific item. What you're really going to want is the graphic ID a lot of the times, because you don't care to drop down just one stool. You actually want to drop down a stool by its graphic ID, because you're going to have multiple stools and you're going to trade them out. You're going to die a couple times and restock with different stools, so it doesn't help you to have just that one damn serial. Uh, so the object inspector is obviously very important here. Let me just do it one more time. It's going to give you the serial, the graphics, the most important part, but also the color. They just changed it from the hexadecimal to the regular color. That's very helpful. Containers and whatnot is only really important if you're getting down into crazy scripting. But these are the two that you're really going to be paying attention to a lot of the time, because you'll be setting aliases that will be targeting a special serial, and the graphic is what you're going to abstract your scripts in order to use. Commands, this is going to show you what's basically already here or in the program itself. You're also going to use the documentation in order to know what these do, but you can look through here, see, okay, I want to pause, so you can insert it. It's going to give you the command as well as any kind of things that you need to put in order to use this command. And so in order to use this, the pause command, you need to put a timeout, or the time that you actually want to pause for. So pause 1000 is pause for 1 second. Active objects, these are all the things that are in your scripts that that have a serial set, or just things in general. So aliases are describing a very specific item, as you can see. And so I did a script that was going to transcribe a single book in order to advertise our guild, and that had a very specific ID that I was using to transcribe onto the type of book that we were transcribing. Lists are lists of things that it doesn't have to be a serial. It can be a name or a number. Timers are very important as well, if you want to do things based on a timer, as far as macroing is concerned. But generally, people just use a pause. Like if you want to trade hiding, it would be use skill, oops, hiding, and then you just use the pause of 10,500 in order to consistently hide and just loop it. Or if you wanted to jazz it up, you can do something like while not skill hiding, oops, is equal to 100. Then you want to do that. And you always have to say where your things end, whether it's an if or a while or a for loop. But you can put this, you can hit save, and it'll auto indent and do all the things for you. So while your skill is not 100, then it'll use that the hiding skill. And you can also have it log out, I believe, if you want to just have it do it and then log you out if you were doing this at night or something. Skills are pretty much the same as they are in Razor. The only thing that is different is Razor allows you to show the skill gain. That's not the one through the client, which is a little bit nicer, I think, because it also has the how much you have gained during the time that you have been in game. It does have snapshots as well. The one thing that this doesn't have, that Razor does have, is the ability to do video. Agents, like I said, most of these are the same. I believe that vendors are different. How auto loot and scavenger work are a little bit different, I believe, as well, because or sorry, at least scavenger, because scavenger also takes into consideration the color of a thing instead of just the graphic ID. Vendors I haven't played around with at all, but I heard people have been doing some pretty cool stuff with that. This is pretty much the same. It gives you some detail as to what your character is doing and anything that's going on with them, as well as the documentation has a link to that, and the website. I would suggest keeping the documentation handy, because this does have all the stuff that was in the macroing window, but it tells what it does and how you go about using it, and gives you an example for most things. These are also very beneficial as far as good practices as well. And so I would strongly suggest downloading this and having it handy when you actually are getting into macroing. But as far as how the client works, it generally is very smooth. I'm on a kind of a crappy laptop, and so I can't show you exactly how smooth it is, but I feel that it runs better generally than Razer. But the one good feature is that it has the ability to make intelligent macros. Like this one, this hiding macro isn't going to try to use another action hiding you if you're already hidden. And so it's just going to print out a system menu if I'm hidden, and it's going to stop the script instead of trying to hide. I was having it to where it was going to try to, while I'm not hidden, it was going to hide. This was in the case of if my hiding wasn't 100, then it would, try to again. But what would happen is I would be running around and it would just keep hiding, and it got kind of annoying. So I just hit or made a stop so that none of this actually gets run. But I'll go into that more in my macro tutorial. So that's basically it. One thing to consider though, like I was saying with the window size, this is a little bit big and it's going to show you these black marks. However, it's good if you can see people that are going off screen. You can kind of get a feel for which way they went, but it's all personal preference. If you need any help, go ahead and contact me on the forums, or give a comment, and I'll promise I'll try to get to it and answer as quickly as possible. All right, well, thank you very much.